Blast off.
Hi. So, hi.
Hi. It's good when it works, hey?
Yeah, I'm glad I figured it out. Because yesterday I had a few glitches. I did some research.
Mm.
I'm proud of myself for learning how to take care of my technological needs as of late.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and just in time so that we could be here today. Thanks for showing up and taking some time out of the
Mm.
day to meet with me.
Pleasure. It's good to be here. It's good to
Yeah.
start the day like this.
Yeah.
Feel like a little in my dream space, actually.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to acknowledge today's day 9. I'm like past the midway point of
Yes.
my quarantine. I'm already
Well done.
dreaming of the sea, of the ocean, of like having dreams of being buried in the sand. I'm heading up to Bellingen Way next week. A dear friend is picking me up straight from the hotel and driving me in her chariot. So I feel,
So
yeah,
awesome.
Caitlin is picking me up and driving me in her chariot. So I feel really super blessed.
Freedom.
Yeah, I'm really like last night I had a dream that I escaped my quarantine and I went outside and smoked a joint under the moon.
Yeah. Perfect.
But so yeah, I'm feeling the freedom.
Yeah.
Tasting it.
Feel it.
No,
Mm.
yeah, thanks for showing up. Yeah, I'm sure, like I already mentioned, these lives for me have been my saving grace, my inspiration, my sanity, and have also been inspiring me, realizing that yeah, it's part of this gift of gab that I have is part of my it's my creative flow. It's how I express myself, how I tap into these creative juices inside of me, and it's been a really beautiful permissive space for me to feel that out. And then having friends like yourself that have been on this journey with me through quarantine and loving me and supporting me, it just feels really true to weave us all into this web together. So thank you again. um, one of the things that I would love to just start our conversation, we'll just dive right in, is like what how has lockdown been for you, babe? I know it's a really just like go whatever
Yeah.
direction.
The ultimate question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the struggles you've had? What are some of the wins you've had? What are some of the
Mm.
insights? And I know, because we've been in communication, I know there's been some such beautiful gems
Mm.
for you, though I'd love to unpack some
Mm.
together and to share with others.
Thank you. Well, I just do feel to start to just acknowledge where I am on Wurundjeri country in Naarm in Melbourne, and just really acknowledge that's where I've been during this quarantine mostly, a little bit of time, Bunjalung country, but that my connection with place has been really important, and my learning and listening to place has been really important. And I just feel to start there, I think, to really acknowledge the country that I'm on and the home that I've been in. Home has been a big part of quarantine. It's where I've been. And my home has been rearranged several times, actually, in terms of just who's in what room and how that space works. And recently moved everything in the lounge room outside, and the lounge room is clear. And so it's been like rearranging and making sacred my living space, my home space, which I've always done, but have done with more presence. I've done everything with more presence mostly. Quarantine, it's so much time. Like, it's when I think, how's it been? There's so many layers and chapters and sections, and like the beginning of it was such a different vibe to how it is now. The beginning, well, it started actually like with my son saying, "Oh, I've got to do this essay on this virus." I didn't really know what, I hadn't heard of it, you know. And it's like there's this thing happening, and we have to do this assignment on it. And he was just, jokingly, he took, as he does, a really different view than everyone else, which is that there's way too many people and some of them should die. I was like, okay, let's explore that. So it was really interesting. And he did this whole presentation, and little did we know that it would become our reality. Like, really was this thing that happened to other people, which is so often, I think that I've thought that often in my life, even though we're in this one world. When something happens somewhere else, I feel it, but I'm so separate. It's like this, the earthquake's happening over here and there's a lot of loss, or this virus is happening over here and people are dying, but it's not affecting me. I've recognized that. Oh, that brings up some emotion, actually. Ooh, that's taking the mask off.
Yeah.
And even though there's feelings and compassion, the separation to go, I'm okay, we're okay, our family's safe, it's okay. And then to realize quite quickly that actually, whoa, this is affecting us, this is affecting everyone. And we're all in this situation. And, I think the early days was almost this sense of panic around that, you've got to get your food and your toilet paper and lockdown. And, I bought so much food. I didn't want to have to go out. I was like ready for the zombies come knocking on the door for my last tin of baked beans. And I didn't know what was going to happen. But that sense of like anything could happen, that was the beginning. But that didn't last too long. I think we settled into a space of presence pretty quickly, a space of day by day, moment by moment. That's been the biggest gift. Biggest gift for me. I've spent so much time in the past regretting or guilting or shaming or worrying or whatever, and so much time in the future of like fantasizing almost what is coming. And I'm just realizing more and more how much I did that. It's like I can't do that anymore. It's like grasping for vines that aren't there, swinging and just landing back in the now. Anyway, that was a massive rant.
No, it's perfect. I'm just feeling it's like it really is touching home. It's really touching home for me as well. Just this, like, there really is nothing outside of this moment. And like, it's always been this kind of, yes, let me meditate so I can be here. So it's like, if I try and think of what comes in a couple of weeks from now, I actually there's like a panic response that happens inside of me. It's almost like my nervous system doesn't even have the capacity at this time to look too far ahead. It's like, I feel safe when I just can see where I'm standing right now. Okay, I'm right here. I'm right now. Maybe I know what's happening tomorrow. I've got like a few little seeds of possibility, but yeah, if I try and throw my net too far into the future, it's like yeah, maybe that's my version of post-pandemic trauma, but
yeah. And then at the same time, I think there's this greater, bigger visioning. Like there is the now, and then there's this different sense of visioning of what the future is, of holding a vibration of where we're heading collectively. It is in the now. It's still in the now, even though it's maybe not exactly what's happening now. It's a nowness to bringing that. It's not even a dream or a vision. It's like a frequency, bringing that into the now.
Yeah,
space.
And it's like, I'm doing this Ho'oponopono course online right now, and I was listening to one of the lessons last night, and he was talking about, and it kind of brings me back to you talking about your space being sacred, like this place and space. And what he was talking about is how it's like our space is the temple, wherever we are is the temple. And it's like the sense of sacredness that we bring to everything is that sense of sacredness that we bring to ourselves.
Yeah.
And it just really, it's like, wow, oh, let me clean my room right now because there's shit on the floor. And no, like it's all this reflection. But again, it happens in the now. So this future that we're weaving, that we're becoming, or that we're stepping into, only happens through the sacredness of this moment. And so the more presence, attention, and sacredness that I bring to this moment, to this body, to these connections, that's actually what's painting the next steps.
Mm.
So it's like, if we can just focus on bringing the sacredness, all of it, bringing it all to this moment and to our immediate relations, then perhaps that is actually what's shaping the future that we want to
Mm.
be creating. That we can't get there without starting here. And I know it's kind of cliche. I talk about it, we talk about it, but it's something about that real embodiment of it has been happening, I feel.
Mm.
And I sense that
Absolutely.
from you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And starting with the basics, yeah, cleaning house, of diet and sleep and all the really simple things of nature that we all know, but it maybe isn't habitual. It's what we go to when we need a little more, or we realize we're off balance. So it's like that becoming a presence, a practice that's just inherent in who we are, from this body, humanness, and then to space and to the bigger space.
Mm,
And that quarantine, like, it did that in a way, that it took that the globalness of the situation of being everyone into coming right into the individual and the family unit, or whoever what the individual for many people, or whoever you were in that space with, who you are in that space with, to those basic needs. And then from there, it's almost like regrowing that back out to the, like you were just saying, how we grow ourselves and nurture and nourish ourselves will feed into the expansion of that new collective. But it took that um, the drasticness of like having to be in your own space, in your own head, in your own body, because there was nowhere else to go. I mean, I'm grateful that's not unfamiliar to me, but I know for many that has been. Yeah.
yeah. For many, it's been really challenging.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it definitely has allowed me to count my blessings time and time again for
Mm.
tools that I carry. I carry them because I've been working them for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it also feels like this next version, it's like an initiation into the deeper service in the world. Like, how am I, what is my service in the world? What kind of a like ambassador or emissary for growth and healing, or togetherness or community or unity or harmony or tending sacredness am I choosing to be? um yeah, and it feels like it's been a really painful really painful initiation, the one that it's been time. It feels like
Mm. Mm.
it's been the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where the sacredness is, isn't it? In that, I mean, we were just even talking just that little few sentences about relationship, and like the sacredness is in the breaking. The sacredness is in the hardness. Like the sacredness is found so many times in the disintegration and the falling apart and the pressure testing, and the sacredness is found in all the places maybe we do. We want it to be in the meditation and in the sage and in the song and the dance, and it is, but it's so, it's just like, oh, the sacredness of for me, it's like that connectedness of what it's all about is found through those times of breaking over and over and over and over. And that just, this last period, quarantine, pandemic, has just been that of cracking open and open and open and open and beginning to, I don't know, enjoy, beginning to find a sense of connection to the sacredness of that process, even to know this is a sacred process. And the surrender over and over and over, like even just like this week again, another wave. Like mostly I've been pretty able to work with what's around me and be, have the space. Just so happy to have the space and the time and enough money to be able to be in touch with my nervous system, to be able to at least recognize those waves. But there's been a couple of moments that have not been easy, and this week hasn't been easy. I've felt, well, I've really been inquiring into it, because it's like, what have I felt? What is going on? What is the sense? What is the struggle here? Like, and it's felt I did a post about it the other day because I just was like, oh, I think I understand how hard it is to put into words, because I feel there's a feeling of feeling trapped. There's a feeling of feeling locked in. There's a feeling of being controlled. I mean, all these things are happening to an extent. They're all real, but they're not, I'm not in prison, and I'm not in a war-torn country, and I'm not like locked up in someone's basement. There are worse things that could be happening here where I am physically really trapped. Like, I have a lot of freedom, but the feeling is of that. I feel that, and I was trying to justify that. I don't. It's not that bad. I shouldn't really be feeling this feeling. But when I went in, it's like I feel this physically. I feel like my walls are getting smaller. I feel like someone, a rat in a cage, someone's controlling me. And even though that mightn't be real and it might be over dramatic, that is the reaction I'm having.
The reality of what you're feeling.
Yeah. But this part of me is like, well, it's not really that bad, Rivka. Like, chill out, So
yeah, though, even giving yourself permission to to go into that, because denying that is still kind of suppressing this energy that's moving through.
Well, it just gets stronger and bigger, doesn't it? And then it's like, that's why they explode in some other way. So yeah, it's that leaning in, it's that acceptance and leaning into whatever is over and over again. That is it, what we practice in meditation, but it becomes daily life. It's like, what is here? It's just being with reality, isn't it? It's like being with reality over and over again. It's like, what is here, and how can I meet this and lean into this? Has become my practice.
Yeah, and for those of us, I just want to acknowledge what you said. Well, you don't live in a war-torn country, or you haven't had the experience of being in prison. However, coming from a Western society, whether the United States or Australia, I mean, whoever would have thought in a million fucking years that Australia would be locked down to the extent that we are? I mean, it still baffles me when I look at what's happening in Melbourne, and I hear some of the new laws that are going into place around state of emergency and stuff. It's just, it's serious. We don't have any context.
It hasn't happened.
This is our version. This is our version of what other. It's not that we can't really compare because it's different, though. This is our version of that experience. We are in some kind of war-torn country right now. It's not physical war, so our liberties and our rights are being like seriously diminished, which is, it's going from this from 100 to lockdown. I simply just want to acknowledge that it feels important to acknowledge the experience of that, because it's real.
Again, it's another reflection of life. Like, it's just being this mirror. Like, the situation we're both talking about happens just in daily life, and we can have feeling, and then we can deny that feeling because it's not. We compare it to someone else's feeling or someone else's experience, someone else's journey all the time. And this time, having so much time to come back to be with me and to witness, like you're doing an intense version now, to be just with what's coming up and facing that, like every moment, has allowed me to. It just hasn't been space to worry about what anyone else is, or who they are, or how they think, or not how they are, but not in terms of comparing my reality or feeling like, what am I trying to say? It's been a deep time of meeting myself, of accepting and honoring all the parts of me. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think for many, many people, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
clearing.
in some ways that's beyond words, isn't it? Because
Mm.
such a personal experience that we cannot necessarily express to somebody else. And yeah, there's so many, there's such medicine in the few words that we might be able to put to the experience. I feel like it is such medicine because I feel like it supports. So like when I read your posts, like I know the other day you posted that post about coming out of quarantine and like being kind to oneself as the restrictions are easing up, and just how people resonate, because sometimes I know for myself it really supports me at times to feel like there's somebody else who understands. And that's why I appreciate receiving other people's reflections on their experience.
Mm.
And I believe in the power of offering my reflections of my experiences, because again, we know each other through other, because we are in
We
relationship.
are other. Yeah, yeah.
And so even though it's been this isolated time,
Mm.
I do feel the value in sharing our stories as best as we can, even if it's just simply sharing our presence and being at a loss for words, or trying to kind of together shape the words and tell the stories, because this is real. These is our
Mm.
stories. This is how we're
Mm.
growing and how we're evolving and how we're meeting the challenges of this time. And if we want to be together in solidarity,
Mm.
yeah, because I think that's, yeah, this time it's been so sad and heartbreaking, because I feel like there is so much more isolation that's been happening, where it's kind of my dream or my vision. I was like, no, we're going towards unity. This is too much isolation. And so this dance,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know if you have anything to share about that though.
Mm.
Yeah, and I know that the
Mm.
work that you do in the world, it's part of that. It's part of that, bringing people together.
Yeah, I'm feeling as I listen to you the connection that's experienced and felt through vulnerability. And we were just talking about taking the masks off, and the just like in any relationship, the more real that we are, the more vulnerable. Like, have you ever found you're having like a thing with someone, and it's really hard and really raw, and expressing something that's just so vulnerable, and after that, like the intimacy is just so rich and beautiful from that willingness to take the mask off, that authenticity that we just keep meeting over and over again in ourselves and in each other. But that connection, this has been a vulnerable time for many of us, and through that, the connections I've had in personal connections, and even through teaching online connections, the vulnerability in that's been able to be, say, resourced or just given through the screen even, has been amazing. The vulnerability, just seeing people in their homes being themselves in more formal meetings, there's a vulnerability in that, seeing people like just doing their life in a public space. And that, yeah, the sharings that I'm the same, just loving seeing so many more people offer who they are in a public space like this, because this is the way we've had to do it, has created this vulnerability, or hasn't created it, but that they've been in a vulnerable, exposed public arena that has created this beautiful new connection, and this sense for me of like we all have something to say, and there's actually been a way for people to do that, and this just everyone is a leader, like the horizontal leadership that's come through. I've just like right from the beginning, everyone popping up, doing their thing and saying their their piece, and leading the way, in the way, not getting out of the way, being the way. being the way, stepping in the way of them, of the path, and that all of us have been doing that, you know, and we're all that, and we have a lot less faith in our leaders, so-called leaders, doing that. That's not working for us so much. So we're actually all stepping up and going, actually, you know, we're all leaders. We can all be leaders here. And we've all got really important wisdom through just being ourselves. Like the biggest teaching. Oh, such a journey. It seems so simple. Why would you not be yourself? You know, like why? But it's like you come out and this separation happens. Like bam, we're separated, and spend the rest of our lives trying to come back. It's like such a mystery. Yet I've just been unpacking and unpacking. I mean, I've always questioned why am I here? Like you know, many times have I not wanted to be here? Like, to be really honest. So I spend a lot of time questioning. I have to really find the reason to be in this life, on this planet, at this time, in this body. I've had to been on that edge many times and questioned why. What am I doing? What's it all for? You know, I know that a lot of us share that quest. And this kind of just even more deeper layers of it. Like it's not even like knowing myself is like almost a starting baseline now. Like know thyself, all of us, know thyself, all of thyself, meet thyself in as much honesty as we can, as almost baseline. And then why am I here? Like then okay, so now what? Okay, find a mission or not find it, you know, remember my mission, my purpose. Okay, and now what? Why? Like, so what? You know, do you have these questions with Creator all the time? Yeah, so now what? You know, like, okay, so I do that. And I've just been digging and inquiring, and I that beautiful place in meditation, it's like, am I trying to get to that? Do I just want to be like some enlightened being that, and it's like, well, maybe, but what's the point of that? You know, like, and I hang out, and it goes, I go back even, I don't know if it's back or forward or in or out, to all of it. I'm longing for it's like sometimes it's a place of nothing and everything, and it's a sound. This might sound really weird, but I feel like this longing to be in my sound, in a I don't even know what I'm saying. It's so weird. You just opened a portal, I think.
Oh.
I mean, like we started as vibration. This is all I can think when my head tries to get it. We start as vibration. Maybe I'm just longing to go back to that, to this, the beginning of, you know, pre-birth, beginning, stars, all of it, where it's just, oh, I'm back in the vibration of just existing, where there's sound. It's just all this sound, and it's harmonious, and it's it's harmony. Harmony in a really existential, is that the right word? Like all encompassing, everything and nothing place.
Yeah.
That is beyond purpose, beyond me, beyond identity, like beyond having to be or do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, when I hear you speak about that sound, it's kind of what it elicits in me, or the way that my mind interprets it. It's like this, like your own unique seed syllable, your unique vibration, your unique frequency. It's like, who am I beyond the masks, beyond the labels, beyond the identifications, beyond where I live, beyond the story? And I think it's essentially, this is this quest that maybe we're all on, because we are part of this bigger source. You know, it's like when I took on the name OneSong, that's kind of how my mind interprets it. It's like we're all part of the one song, and yet in this one song we each have our own note.
Yeah.
Like we each have our own voice that is creating this harmonious one song that we're all singing together. Yet for that to be fully harmonious,
Mm.
fully
Mm.
resonant, I have to be fully in my song.
Ooh, cute feels.
And
Yes.
you have to be fully in your song. And I feel like this journey that I'm on, and I sense you're on, and many of us are on this quest to really know who we are beneath it all. It's like, what is my unique song? What's my unique note that I'm contributing to the bigger song? That did I interpret you right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
And how can we, yeah, I mean, to me, it's like I love singing. I love singing on my own. Though there's something that happens when I start singing with others, and I can use this as the metaphor, but it's the bigger metaphor as well. It's when I sing with others and there's that moment where the voices click and the resonance, it's almost something other emerges. And I feel like that's what keeps driving me, is this desire to be in resonance with the other notes in my life. And how can I be, I guess the best way I can be of service to that one song is by continuing to learn my own and fucking singing it. And inviting other people to come sing with me,
Okay.
come pray with me, which you know me well enough to know that's my purpose. It's simple. I don't know. It's simple. It's complex. I don't really know how practical it is, though. It's what makes sense to me.
Mm.
And I know you and I have spoken a bit about this many times. This reorienting towards collaboration, which I feel like this time alone is almost been preparing us to kind of drop all this stuff, really anchor more deeply into what is this unique offering that I am, and how can I fit that in a collaborative way? Because I think people they're getting ready to be together with others.
Yeah.
I know in Melbourne, a lot of our friends, they're definitely ready to be together. And what might that togetherness look like now?
Yeah.
After this time to just drop more deeply into self.
Yeah. Yes, in a sustainable way where our each, our individual membranes are really, they're clear, they're malleable, and we can move in and out, so we have a clear sense of who we are and what we need and how we can be in relationship with others.
Yeah, and really honor it. And I kind of go back to the seed of sovereignty that this new project, I want to say, offering this life purpose that you are now sharing in the world and being a beacon for. It's like not compromising oneself anymore to be in relationship to other. Though this both end, honoring the self and being in relationship to other. It's both end, rather than kind of leaning so in where I fall. It's just, again, leaning so that we can meet and create something beyond what we can create on our own. That synergy that's possible when there's actual sovereignty.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's definitely one of the many gifts of the pandemic or the quarantine, is that for me, I've really honed my sacred yes and my sacred no. Like I found no. I probably had a lot more yeses, but I've really found my no. And for me, that's been a part of really reclaiming my sovereignty. Like my yes to me and my no to others, and my no to me and my yes to others. Like it's that as well, the receiving and the turning in, the turning out, just that clarity, which is interesting actually, just reflecting that that's really come through clearly in a time when I haven't been practicing that in a lot of external relationships. The quiet has allowed me to really hone, to know the feeling of like, oh, that's a no. Great. Thank you. I'm really going to honor that.
Mm.
Within the past, that membrane has not been clear enough for me. So it's been just it's all been a lot of maybe and a lot of yes. mm. Mm.
Good stuff.
It's so lovely to hear where OneSong's come from. I took it in, but I'm just feeling you in that and your name so differently now. I really resonate. I can hear it. I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
That
my vision for humanity, that we might, yeah, it is that vision that I hold so dear to myself. And in the past, it was almost kind of, again, a giving away of myself for other. And now I think during this time, again, there's always a deepening, like even Phoenix, it didn't mean as much to me a couple of months ago before my dad passed. It's always informing us. Yeah, so I feel like you sharing that piece about wanting to be a sound actually assisted me to go deeper into, oh yeah, this is that articulation that maybe I didn't have previously. So again, when we show up, it's such a beautiful reminder when we show up as ourselves and just share our little pieces, even if they're not polished or fully formed.
Yeah.
How we actually, that piece might help somebody else form something that's been informing information.
Absolutely. I read something recently. I'm trying to think who. I think it was Neville Goddard. It was a quote that I won't get right, but something about God, or whatever you want to call God, creator, divine, will always find someone to be a voice through, to tell you what you need. Something like that. I haven't said it as poetically, but God will always find someone always find a voice to speak through what you need. So that just encouraged me to always speak up, because maybe it's someone coming through me to offer something. Yeah. And who am I to just say no? I'm not going to say that. It's like it's divine offering. So yeah, maybe that was something coming through me for you. Thank you.
Thank you, darling. Thank you for sharing your time and your presence and your attention and just everything that you've been in my life as a dear sister. I'm so grateful for the deepening of our connection during this time, and the sisterhood and the friendship that's been forming and deepening. And I look forward to more.
Me too. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a long journey of weaving in and out of since we've connected, and I think
I was thinking about it the other day. You were like one of the first people that I came to dance with when I moved to Melbourne 8 years ago. Kind of, you had that dance, the spiral dance, I think it was, or I remember coming and meeting you and just feeling, oh my gosh, just this amazing woman, and just the journey of, I love it. I love it. I love that you've been part of it.
Yeah, me too with you.
Yeah.
It's an honor. Thank you, darling.
Thank you.
Thanks for creating this work. I really look forward to evolution.
We'll see what happens. Something is happening.
Something is definitely happening.
I'm enjoying it. We'll see what happens. So thanks for being part of the seed.
Thanks for the invitation.
Love you, darling. Bless the rest
of the
day.
Have a beautiful day. You too.
Yeah, thank you. Are you teaching on the conference today?
Yeah.
Can you post it on my page so I can watch it, and anybody else who wants to come watch can come watch?
6 o'clock. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Okay. Love you, sister.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.